Good evening. We have all of your local stories, sports, and weather coming up here on the 18 WJTS News. This is the 18 WJTS News. I'm Charlotte Olson. Last night, the Ferdinand Town Council discussed the possibility of joining the cities of Jasper and Huntingburg in providing the community a more ideal emergency notification system. The service would be provided through Ferdinand's website provider, eGov. Ferdinand Town Council President Ken Seacard describes the cell-based system.
What we're looking at is going with a text message where if you give us your cell phone number, you allow us to use it. Anytime we would put out an emergency declaration of any type, you would get a text message telling you about it. Even if you did not live in the city of Ferdinand, you could still give us your cell phone number and you would get access to that.
The service would cover a wide range of emergencies and issues. For example, if a serious accident took place involving hazardous materials, a notice would be provided. Any citizen is eligible to sign up for the program, which is completely voluntary. In other business, last night the council received updates on a local big issue, including a company's request to install a cell tower north of Ferdinand situated in the vacancy of a residential neighborhood. Seacard says there is an issue that might put a halt to those plans before the town can act on the situation.
We've found out through doing our studies that the FAA has to make a ruling on it first, and because of its location with the airport, the Huntingburg Airport, it could come into question there. So we're just patiently waiting for the FAA to make their statement. I do know the Huntingburg Airport has come out against it.
Seacard went on to say that even if the FAA were to approve the proposed cell tower, the idea would still need to overcome a number of hurdles before the council discusses the issue and passes along a final approval.
Our Plan Commission and BZA would have to meet with these people for them to be allowed to even begin to build a cell tower. Not really sure how it goes. I know members of our board are not necessarily in favor of the cell tower, but we're not against it as such. It just needs to be moved into a different location.
Finally, last night, the council addressed the issue of the town's failed contract with Monster Recycling. Last month, the Ferdinand Town Council authorized town attorney Bill Shaneyfight to file a lawsuit against Monster owner Paul Vogel Sr. to recoup the $9,000 town officials believe that they are owed to do a breach of contract. Back in August, Monster Recycling decided to end their contract with the town due to the heavy financial losses. At that time, the council voted to go for a $1,500 return of the recycling bins. Shaneyfight then sent letters to the Vogel informing him of the council's decision and asked for the money in bins to avoid a lawsuit. The council says Vogel did not respond to the letter and they are now pursuing legal action for the amount of $9,000. Seacard says unfortunately a lawsuit was the town council's only option and course of action.
Yeah, with Monster Recycling, we had a very nice deal with them, and then they basically have pulled out of the contract. We tried to settle with them for about what we felt was a fair amount at the end due to the contract of $1,500. We got no reaction back, and then we had to go do the next best thing. Since we did have a contract, we're looking at, I believe it's $9,000. We have filed a lawsuit to get that money, and we've not heard back from them yet either. It was a difficult decision to make, but one that we felt we needed to because there was a contract involved.
Seacard and other town officials were hopeful that Vogel would come forward with a settlement offer before the lawsuit would reach the courts. The next Ferdinand Town Council meeting is set for December 15th. 2 people were injured in a 2-vehicle accident along US 231 and County Road 500 North, just north of Jasper Tuesday evening. The DuBois County Sheriff's Department says at around 7:45 last night, 31-year-old Michael Miller of Huntingburg was attempting to turn his SUV south on US 231 from County Road 500 North when he told deputies he did not see an oncoming car driven by 18-year-old Cody Sanders of Shoals headed north. Police say Sanders was unable to evade Miller's SUV as it failed to yield at the right-of-way. A collision ensued, sending both vehicles off the west side of the roadway onto private property. When authorities arrived, they say that they found a couple of passengers involved in the accident and were complaining of minor pain, one of which, a male juvenile riding in Miller's SUV, was taken from the scene by ambulance to Memorial Hospital in Jasper due to a possible back injury. The second, Alex Weininger, a passenger in Sanders' car, complained of head pain. Deputies say neither Miller nor Sanders, whose vehicles were reported as total losses, were injured in the accident. The Sheriff's Department was assisted at the scene by the Jasper Police Department, Hayesville First Responders, and the Memorial Hospital EMS. A Birdseye woman heading into the town of Ferdinand early Tuesday morning was greeted by a deer who decided to cross the road. Ferdinand police say at about 6:45 Tuesday morning, 46-year-old Jill Wright of Birdseye was southbound along State Road 162 north of the Industrial Park Road when police say a female deer crossed the highway from the east, made contact with the front area of her van, and caused damage to the vehicle's grille and hood. Police say after the animal was struck and knocked down, it regained its footing and continued westbound onto an open field. Wright was not injured in the incident. Police credited the use of a seatbelt for preventing any injuries. Wright's minivan sustained $3,000 in damage and no charges were filed. Today is Veterans Day, and as Americans, it's important to show our support for those who have fought to protect our country's freedom. Veterans Day provides Americans the opportunity to honor those brave men and women who have sacrificed so much for their fellow Americans. In Indiana, the commitment to serving our nation is ingrained in our Hoosier roots. Our state has the 6th largest National Guard and Reserve in the country. According to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, there are more than 475,000 veterans living in Indiana, and more than 35,000 of whom are women. 75 Hoosiers have been awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for their courage and sacrifice. Today's servicemen and women are following in the footsteps of generations of Hoosier heroes. During the 2015 legislative session, the Indiana General Assembly enacted laws aimed at honoring the sacrifices made by these men and women by helping them return to civilian life when their military service is over. One such act seeks to reduce veteran unemployment by allowing private sector employers to adopt a preference policy for hiring, promoting, or retaining a veteran in employment. Under the law, a veteran is defined as a person who actively served in the U.S. military, the Indiana Army National Guard, or Air National Guard. Veterans and their families make tremendous sacrifices to serve our nation. It is essential that support is given to our servicemen and women in their efforts to obtain higher education and upon their return to the workforce. The Indiana General Assembly is continuing to seek ways to help Hoosiers returning home after bravely serving our country. When you see a veteran today, or any time for that matter, make sure to take the time to thank them for their wonderful service. Lincoln State Park is among 14 of Indiana's state parks that will be closed temporarily to the public in the coming weeks for a series of targeted deer hunts. The parks chosen for the hunts are home to more than 32 state endangered plants and other species threatened by the deer's appetites and overgrazing. State wildlife biologists chose the parks for the hunts based on the conditions of the park's habitat and the success of previous hunts in those state parks. The Department of Natural Resources says that these parks will close temporarily for the 2-day hunts on November 16th and 17th, and also will close on November 30th and December 1st. A court appearance was made for the pair nabbed in Spencer County drug bust. The Spencer County Prosecutor's Office says that 42-year-old Jeffrey Durman of Newburgh and 47-year-old Rebecca Wolf of Evansville appeared in the Spencer Circuit Court last Friday for initial court hearings following their recent arrest on the methamphetamine-related charges. Durman and Wolf were arrested on October 28th by detectives from the Evansville Police Department who executed a search warrant on a residence in Hatfield with the assistance of the Indiana State Police SWAT team. The detectives were investigating a recent burglary and theft of guns from a home in Evansville, which evidently led them to informing and concerning a residence along the 900 block of North County Road 900 West in Hatfield. That information was provided to the Spencer County Prosecutor's Office, which assisted in requesting the search warrant from the Spencer Circuit Court. Also arrested was 49-year-old Jeffrey Martin of Hatfield, and he was taken into federal custody and transported to a detention center in Henderson, Kentucky. Dermott and Wolf were taken to the Spencer County Law Enforcement Center in Rockport. All three have been charged in Spencer County with dealing in methamphetamine over 10 grams, a level 2 felony, possession of methamphetamine over 10 grams and less than 28 grams, a level 4 felony, and possession of paraphernalia, a class C misdemeanor. Each faces anywhere from 10 to 30 years on the level 2 felony or 2 to 12 years on the level 4 felony. Bond for each has been set at $300,000 or $30,000 cash, and all three remain in custody. The next court appearance for Dermott and Wolf was set for January 22nd at 9 a.m. A warrant has been issued for Martin, who remains in federal custody. Up next, we'll have a look at your weather here on 18 WJTS.